Good morning, children. Let us continue with the social science class. Last class already you have learned about Vijayanagar Empire. Then you have learned about Salva dynasty and Tulva dynasty, isn't it? Now let us go for the next one. Aravidu dynasty. This Aravidu dynasty was between 1542 to 1646. So here it is given as Aliya Ramaraya. Who is this Aliya? Aliya means son-in-law. Son-in-law is called as Aliya. Aliya Ramaraya, who lived between 1542 to 1565, the son-in-law of Krishna Deva Raya. So Krishna Deva was very famous king, isn't it? He was known for everything, braveness, then his rituals, then what all he was spending. Then he was looking after the subjects so well. All this, he was very famous person. So his son-in-law was Aliya Ramaraya. So the son-in-law of Krishna Deva Raya became the virtual ruler. Virtual ruler means not exactly he was on the throne. Somebody was on the throne, but he was acting as a ruler then. So the acting ruler, we call it as a virtual ruler. During the reign of Sadashivaraya, actually who was ruling that time? It was Sadashivaraya who was ruling, but this Ramaraya was taking care of other work in the kingdom. Understood? So he is called as a virtual ruler. Actual ruler was Sadashivaraya. Got it? He fought many wars successfully. Who? This Aliya Ramaraya, he was going for waging wars and all that. He used to fight and he was a very successful person. So he used to defeat the opposite parties and he used to be a winner. That's the meaning. So he used to fight many wars and he used to be very successful. He involved himself in the mutual infights of the Deccan Sultans. So that time who was ruling? There were sultans. That time it was Muslim ruler, already I have told you, isn't it? So that time the Deccan Sultans also were very powerful. So what happened? He had to fight against this Deccan Sultans also. When the Deccan Sultans allied themselves against him, he took it lightly. He never bothered. He was thinking that I am very great, I am very powerful, so nobody can defeat me. Like that he was very, he was very proud actually. Who? Ramaraya. So when Deccan Sultans wanted to wage a war, he never bothered. He took it very lightly. When the Deccan Sultans allied themselves against him, he took it lightly. Ramaraya was taken prisoner and killed in the battle of Rakasa Tangadi. So what happened? Because he was very proud and he never bothered, isn't it? He took things very lightly. He was actually caught or captured by whom? By the Deccan Sultans. He was imprisoned and then finally what happened? He was killed. When he was killed? In the battle of Rakasa Tangadi. Okay, this Rakasa Tangadi battle is also called as Talikota. Battle of Talikota. So in that he was killed. Ramaraya was killed. The battle of Talikota, which took place in the year 1565, also known as the battle of Rakasa Tangadi. So battle of Talikota is also known as battle of Rakasa Tangadi. This was a decisive war and one of the major political events in the history of South India. It was one of the major wars it is. So, and it is a great history in the event of South India. It gave a blow to the power and prestige of Vijayanagar. So again what happened? Vijayanagar had fallen down. No, again they started bringing this Vijayanagara up. But during Talikota what happened? This person Ramaraya was killed. So the city of Vijayanagar was plundered and razed. So what happened? The Vijayanagar Empire was destroyed during this war. That is Rakasa Tangadi or Battle of Talikota. What happened? This Vijayanagar Empire was totally defeated. All the palaces, temples, public buildings and streets were completely destroyed by the Deccan Sultans. So what did Deccan Sultans do? After capturing Ramaraya, they even captured the whole kingdom of Vijayanagar. Everything was in their hands. What did they do? All the palaces, then the temples, public buildings and streets were completely destroyed by the Deccan Sultans. It was so wealthy city it was. It was destroyed by the Deccan Sultans. Next what happened? Tirumala Deva Raya. The next ruler from Vijayanagar Empire was Tirumala Deva Raya. It was between 1565 to 1572. Started ruling through Penukonda after the fall of city of Vijayanagar. So what happens? Tirumala Devaraya was ruling this Penukonda. From there he was ruling the city of Vijayanagar. So further after the departure of the Muslims, so now Deccan Sultans were into the reign, isn't it? That means into the rule. So after the departure of the Muslims, he went back to Vijayanagar and restored the prestige of the empire. So what did Tirumala Devaraya did? He started fighting against Deccan Sultans and he defeated Deccan Sultans. So what happened? That the Muslims rulers were defeated totally. So when Muslims rulers, that is Deccan Sultans were defeated, what happened? This Tirumala Devaraya again brought back the prestige of Vijayanagar. Vijayanagar was very prestigious city that time, isn't it? So he brought back that prestigious city of Vijayanagar. Then, see, after the departure of the Muslims, he went back to Vijayanagar and restored the prestige of the empire. However, the empire shrank and was troubled by a civil war as well. But what happened? It was not silent that time. Again there was a civil war. Means within inside itself there was war taking place. Internal wars were there. So civil war as well. By about 1646, when Sriranga III ruled from Vellore, the joint army of Bijapur and Golconda drove him out of the capital and brought an end to the empire. So what happened? So when all these things were taking place, there were internal wars which took place and that was again troubling or destroying the city. So finally what happened? By 1646, when Sriranga III, so there was Sriranga third one, ruled from Vellore. He was ruling from Vellore, the joint army of Bijapur. So there was, what is that? There was internal connection and what happened? The joint army from Bijapur and Golconda. They drove him off of the capital and brought an end to the empire. So what happened? This Vijayanagar empire was brought down by these people of who? That is during the time of Sriranga III, people from Bijapur and Golconda, that is army, they brought back, they brought down which one? The Vijayanagar empire. Okay. So now let us see the glory of Vijayanagar. How it was, how is Vijayanagar during the rule of Krishna Devaraya. That's the meaning here. Several foreign travelers, because Vijayanagar was that time full of wealth. Now what is say? Muttu, Ratna and all those, no, those things were just sold on the road itself. Now you know it is very, very costly, isn't it? But that time during the rule of Krishna Devaraya, what happened? All these were just sold on the roads. Like how we see the vegetables, fruits and all sold on the footpath, you know. The same way, that time these pearls, jewels, ornaments, all this, no, it was just sold on the roads of the Vijayanagar. So to that extent there was wealth during the time of Krishna Devaraya. So here they are given the glory of Vijayanagar. Several foreign travelers visited Vijayanagar and vividly described its vastness, magnificence and prosperity. So looking at that wealth and prosperity, what happens? So many foreign travelers, they used to visit Vijayanagar just to purchase all these things. Okay. So because it was very cheap and at the same time very good one, precious one they used to get. So these foreigners used to come there and they used to describe, they used to feel so happy to describe about Vijayanagar empire and they used to say that how vast it is, how beautiful it is, how magnificent and then how much prosperity, isn't it? Full of happiness was there that time. Abdul Razak. So again one person, Abdul, it is Abdul, D-U-L, Abdul Razak, a Persian traveler says, the city is such that eye has not seen nor ear heard of any place resembling it upon the whole earth. It is built that it has even fortified walls, one within the other. That means a Persian traveler, Abdul Razak, what did he say? The city is such that, see, the city is so well, so nicely built, like we cannot just describe it with our eyes or we cannot say just anything about with the ears. We cannot hear about it with the ears. That means to that extent it is constructed, it is built, this Vijayanagar empire. is built. So much prosperity is there. So nicely it is built. All that he was feeling so happy to explain about the kingdom of Vijayanagar. Okay. So the whole earth would have not seen this type of place. To that extent it was. That's what Abdul Razak is saying. So it is built that it has 745 walls, one within the other. Means you would have heard of Elu Suttina Kote, isn't it? Elu Suttina Kote means what? One by one, if you go inside and inside and inside, what happens? You see still different good things. Okay. So much prosperity, so much wealth was there. That is what he is saying. It was just like 45 with 7 walls. Elu Suttina Kote, what you call. That way it is constructed. Which one? This Vijayanagar Empire. So it is built that the city is constructed with 745 walls, one within the other. If you go on opening from one wall to the other wall, you see so much prosperity, so much beauty, isn't it? So much, magnificent things, everything. That's what he was feeling so happy to describe about Vijayanagar Empire. Abdul Razak, a Persian traveler. Now let us see about the administration. The king was the supreme head, an absolute ruler, and his will was law. That means, who was the supreme? Now we have this prime ministers, presidents, chief minister, home minister, all those people, isn't it? But that time it was only kingdom, and the king was the main person there. So the king was the supreme head. Final. Whatever he says, everybody has to follow. That is the supreme head, what we call. King was the supreme head, an absolute ruler who has will was law. Whatever he says will be the law, will be the rules and regulations. Now we have got amendments, isn't it, and code, and we have certain rules and regulations like democratic countries and all those things, isn't it? But that time whatever the king says, that is only final. Everybody have to listen to whatever he says. Okay. He was assisted by a council of members called Pradhans. So he had people to help him. So his immediate assistants were called as Pradhans. The kingdom was divided into provinces known as mandalams. So this kingdom, he had assistants called Pradhans, and the kingdom was divided into different areas, and each one was headed by different people. Okay, so the kingdom was divided into provinces known as mandalams. So it is called as mandalams. These different divisions were called as mandalams. A mandalam was described into districts called nadus. One mandalam means one city like. Okay, so we call that as nadu. That time it was called as nadu. The districts were further divided into gramas or a group of villages. So what happened? First one is mandalam, and mandalam was divided into nadu, and nadu was further divided into gramas or group of villages. Okay. Now how you know? We have the country to state, from state to cities, from cities to villages, isn't it? Cities to towns, towns to villages. Like that, they also had that. Mandalams were there, nadus were there, and gramas were there. Now, the village was the lowest unit of administration. Village is to the last ruling area of the administration. The old feudal system was revived, and high administrative posts were hereditary. Feudal system is like we say the jamindari system and all that, no? What is that in villages? Who will be the head? The patels or chairmen or somebody, and under them there will be so many people, no? That is what is called as the feudal system. So the old feudal system was revived, and high administrative posts were hereditary. So what happened? All that old system was lost, and new systems started coming up. Now coming to the society. The society was divided into four main Varanas. Varanas means divisions. The royal family, the nobles, the middle class, and the common people. So what were these four divisions in the society? First one is the royal family, means king's family. There's a meaning there. The nobles, he used to keep that pradhans, they are the nobles. The middle class, so the next traders, business people and all come under the middle class. And the common people means all the workers. workers. They are called as the common people. The king was respected and worshipped. So king was like God for people. King means he is God. That's what people used to think. So the king was respected and worshipped. The members of the royal family were held in high esteem. Royal family means if it is king's family means they used to treat them as gods only. So high esteem means they were treated as gods. The nobles were very rich and they led a life of great luxury. Who are the nobles? The pradhans. Next to king, he has appointed some people to assist him. They are called as the nobles or pradhans. So they were also very rich and led a life of luxury. That means they used to spend more. They used to live a very, very luxurious life. The Brahmins were held in high esteem and were powerful. So Brahmins were in the higher post. Okay, higher post means they were kept in a higher position and they were also very powerful. The middle class comprised mostly of traders who lived in cities. So the business people, the traders were in the middle class and they also lived in cities. The common people comprised of artisans and cultivators who led a miserable life. So the lower class people, they were like, it's not actually lower, but the work-wise if you take, they were treated as the common people, the lower class. So all were there, that is artisans and cultivators. Women enjoyed a high status in society. So women were given a good status in the society. They were highly educated and held high positions in the government. So that time women were given chance to rule also. So they were in higher positions in the government. Polygamy, child marriage, sacrifices and performance of sati were common practices. Polygamy means going on marrying to many people. Then child marriage, when they were child only taking marriage. Sacrificing means for the sake of some, some rituals and all that. No, that is called as sacrificing. And performances of sati. Sati means once the husband is dead, what happened? The wife used to go for the, she used to go into the pyre. Pyre means what I call it is, when they burn the body, the wife also goes to the fire. That's the meaning there. So performance of sati were common practices. Once husband dies, even wife also used to die. So economic conditions. So that's about the society. Now we are coming to the economic conditions. How was the wealth of this Vijayanagar Empire? Vijayanagar was one of the wealthiest kingdoms. See, wealthiest means it was very rich. Wealthiest kingdoms of South India during the medieval period. Agriculture and trade were well developed. So agriculture was also there. Farmers also were there. And trade means business. Trade were very well developed. The two main sources of revenue were taxes on land and trade. On land as well as trade. So both trade means business, land means revenue. Okay, that is farming and other things. Land and all those things. No, the landowners has to pay tax. So taxes on land and trade. The land tax varied from 1/3 to 1/6 of the produce depending on the quality of land which was assessed before the tax was levied. So from 1/3 to 1/6 it was. That means if they had very big land, they had to pay 1/3 of that production. If they had small land, 1/6 of the production they had to give to the kingdom. Okay, so that was the economic condition, means how the money can develop. So the land tax varied from 1/3 to 1/6 of the produce depending on the quality of land which was assessed before the tax was levied. Before tax was done, what they used to do? They used to inspect the land. If it is a very good land, giving more money, that time they have to pay 1/3 of that tax. If it was not earning more, then they have to pay 1/6 of the tax. So, irrigation tanks, canals and dams were built. Maritime trade flourished. Irrigation tanks means there was farming, I told, in agriculture was there, isn't it? So for having this growth of plants, what is required? They require water supply to plants for their growth. So for that, what was there? Irrigation tanks means they used to construct big tanks and store water there. From that, they used to leave it to the fields for growth of crops. So irrigation tanks, canals. Canals means big water pipes used to be there, and dams. Even the dams were constructed. Dams for storage of water. In case there is no heavy rain, what happens? The stored water has to be sent to the agricultural lands. So tanks were also there. Then maritime trade flourished. Maritime trade flourished means, so from country to country importing things, okay, through sea. Maritime is through sea. So sea trade, what you call, through sea, they used to trade the things. Trading means business was taking place through sea. That is maritime trade. Understood? So let me stop it here. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you.